Chapter 5 Ask and Emla. Ask and Emla are the first humans, male and female respectively, to be created in Norse mythology. The story of how they were created, as it has boiled down to us in Old Norse literature, goes like this. Not too long after the world itself was created, Odin was walking along the coast of one of the new land masses. With him were two other gods. In one version these were his brothers Vili and Vi, and in another version they were the odd figures Honir and Loder. The three deities found two tree trunks, maybe pieces of driftwood, lying on the beach. They were formed like a man and a woman, but they were lifeless and helpless, so the three gods chose to give them what they lacked, and make them true people. Odin blew into them the breath of life, while his two companions imparted motivated psychological activity, a healthy skin, and the capability to speak, hear, and see. They dressed them in ideal outfits and called the man Ask and the woman Emla. Ask and Emla were then given Midgard, the world of human civilization, for their dwelling place. They ended up being the father and mother of the entire human species. In the Viking Age, there was definitely more to this story that has since been lost as a result of the rather sporadic and fragmentary nature of the primary sources. One of the two extant Old Norse variations of this myth comes from a poem, the Voluspa in the Poetic Edda, which appears to be missing several verses that would have come straight from the two verses that recount the creation of Ask and Emla. In the form in which the poem has boiled down to us, the verses before these have to do with the dwarves, and the transition from them to this myth is abrupt and seemingly arbitrary. Nevertheless, several experts have interpreted those preceding stanzas as indicating that the dwarves, the master craftsmen of the universes, had made the initial forms of Ask and Emla, which the gods then brought to life. The meaning of the name Ask is very straightforward. The original Old Norse form of the word is aska, ash tree, a fitting name since the pair was made from tree trunks. The meaning of Emla's name is more elusive. Some of the main scholarly guesses so far are elm, waterpot, and vine. If vine is right, it could be a sexual metaphor. Vines were used as kindling and the drills were made of harder wood, so the drill, which corresponds to ask, would make a fire, which corresponds to life, by boring into the vine, which corresponds to Emla. Trees are frequently used as metaphors. Kinning, more specifically, for people in Old Norse poetry, which suggests a strong association between people and trees in the Norse mind. Maybe this is an indirect corroboration of the myth as we find it in the Eddas. Old Norse scholar Henning Kerr translates this association thusly. Male has his feet on the ground, anchored in this world, with roots, ties to death and mayhem in his nature. However, his crown, his head or mind, is the psychological or spiritual world. Like the world tree, man possesses the ability of connecting the world above with the world below. However, it takes the way of the god to develop the link.